Well, as promised, it's the first Sunday of the month, and I'm here with my weight loss update, and it's good news. Hi, sweet friends. I'm Mary, and welcome to Mary's Nest. I'm a former New York City girl, but I live the simple life now with my sweet husband here in the Texas Hill Country. And this channel is all about cooking from scratch, living naturally, and creating a cozy home. So if you're like me and you want to live the simple life no matter where you live, subscribe to my channel and be sure to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, as I've shared with you in the past, for those of you who are following my journey, you know that I eat a diet very much according to the book Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. But for those of you who may be new, I wanted to let you know that Sally Fallon's Nourishing Traditions is based on a diet of eating traditional foods. So it's bone broth, cultured dairy, ferments, sourdough bread, soaked grains, sprouted grains, things like that. And that was raised on food like that and really sort of rediscovered them when I became a wife and mother myself and wanted to feed my family the same nutritious foods I had grown up on. And at the same time, I wanted to be able to lose weight because I don't know if I shared this with you in the past. I had my son, my baby, in my 40s. And I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant, but I was so happy to be pregnant, so it was a wonderful gift at that age. But I had a hard time losing the weight. And so it was sort of a long journey for me. But eating traditional foods, I think kept me healthy, but I wasn't really losing weight. And so then, now my husband and I are empty nesters. Our son went off to college. And so I decided I have to really get serious about this because I'm in my early 60s now. And it's very difficult to lose weight in my age group. But I set my mind to it, and so far I've lost over 30 pounds, and I'm so proud of myself. It's a long and slow journey, but I always tell myself slow and steady wins the race. Now, I believe last time I weighed in, and I can't remember exactly, I think it was 203 point something, which I always get a big kick out of that because my scale it's one of those digital ones, so it's very exact. But now, at my last weigh-in, I weighed in at 202, and I'm so happy about that. It's just maybe a pound and change, so to speak. But as I said, slow and steady wins the race. And I started this race at 237 pounds. So to be 202, 35 pounds down, and over 60, I'm celebrating. I am so happy. And I can't wait until I get under 200 pounds because for me, and as those of you who know me, I've shared, I'm only 5'3", so I'm no giant. And to be under 200 pounds, I feel, if that's as far as I lose weight, I will be celebrating. But if I go farther than that, I definitely will be happy. And this is really something, as I've shared with all of you, at my age, it's not about fitting into a party dress or skinny jeans or something like that. It's really about health. And so that's why I wanted to lose weight in a way where I was eating traditional foods, because that was very important to me, but eating them in a way that would help me lose weight. And that's getting back to Sally Fallon and the book Nourishing Traditions, which, if you're not familiar with it, I'll link it below in the description. And you can investigate it and maybe find it at your local library or something. I often see it at used bookstores in our area, so it's become quite popular. But I combined it with John Douillard's book, The 3-Season Diet. But it's not so much a diet as it is just a story of eating seasonally, a book about eating seasonally. So I've got Nourishing Traditions and then eating seasonally. And then to that, I added intermittent fasting, which has become very popular. And that is hugely helpful. So what I try to do is, our last meal of the day is usually an early dinner, somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock. And then I try not to eat after 5 o'clock, and I try not to eat until I get up the following morning, which is usually around 6 a.m., and I'll have my coffee and then go from there. So it's a little more, 13 hours, sometimes 14 hours, if we eat at 4 or finish up by 4. of not eating anything. And that has been hugely helpful for me on this journey. So I can eat my lovely nourishing traditions, my traditional foods during the day, and enjoy those, and not deprive myself. I don't try to eat low carb, high carb, low fat, whatever. I try to eat what I enjoy, and in moderate, normal amounts. I don't try to overstuff myself or anything like that. Just in normal, moderate amounts until I feel comfortable, and eat the foods that I enjoy, and then try to stop by 5 o'clock. And other people who have a different schedule may eat later, but then what they do is the next day they start their meals later in the morning as opposed to earlier in the morning like me. And so I'm very pleased with this approach that's worked well for me, and I wanted to share this in case this might work well for others who are struggling with trying to lose weight, especially women in this older age group. And as I've shared to this point so far, I'm down 35 pounds. And given my age and whatnot, and still being able to eat the foods that I enjoy, that is a success for me. It is slow. I know some of you might be saying, Mary, a pound or a pound and a half in a month? I know. I would love to lose 10, 15 pounds, whatever the case may be. But I also know that when I've tried those, approaches for myself, I've either failed, and, as they say, you lose weight and then you gain back more, or I've just found it so impossible to stick to. So what I found was eating traditional foods seasonally and in a certain time period have worked wonderfully for me. And I like the variety. It's very difficult for me to eliminate a food group. I find that then I crave it. And that isn't always helpful when you're trying to diet, because then you're like, oh, I just want to eat. And I was joking with my husband the other day that I said, if I gave up bread completely, I love my sourdough and with my butter on it. If I gave up sourdough completely, I think one day I would look at the loaf of sourdough bread and just want to eat the whole package. And from time to time here on my channel, I've shared things about the keto diet, but it's not because I follow the keto diet, but I have friends who do. And so, I make a lot of bone broth, as you all know, and I do variations of it and whatnot. And many of them had said, oh, I'd really like to do bone broth, but, they talk about macros and this and that, and I gather it's, monitoring exactly how many carbs they have, protein, fat. And so they said, what are some, good vegetables to put into a bone broth, that are really low in carbs? So that's why I have the keto veggies for bone broth. And if that's something you're interested to, I'll link to that in the iCards and in the description below. And speaking of the iCards and the description below, be sure to check the description, because I'll put links to my previous videos. If you haven't seen them and you want to catch up on weight loss update, the intro, I think I have an intro one where I talk in a lot of detail about how I structured my diet, and then updates after that, as I'm losing weight, and little tweaks I made and so on and so forth. So be sure to check the description, because I'll have a link to that playlist that'll cover all of those videos. If you're new to my channel and you like learning about cooking from scratch and living naturally, be sure to subscribe, and then click on this video over here where I show you how to make homemade apple cider vinegar. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.